Mm. There's realization and accepting that, yes, I might do something and it might not be completely perfect. Yeah. It took me years to realize I'm not perfect. Um, so yeah, we might think that, yeah, I want to, which is nice. We should have that attitude. Yeah, if we're doing this for Krishna, we want to do it perfectly with love and care and attention. We definitely should. And at the same time, we must have that realization. But it actually all depends on Krishna. Krishna gives us the ability to do anything, anyways. And yeah, with our best efforts, there might be still some material deficiency. Not that there's any spiritual deficiency, but yeah, there might be some material shortcoming. But the results are up to Krishna, as we know. And but what makes it totally complete is that attitude that, yes, I'm doing it for Krishna. And even if I fall short, Madhavendra Puri had that prayer. He says that, yeah, people call me a fool, the philosophers call me proud, and the wealthy people, they call me, I'm just, some loser. But I'll still pray to Govinda, still worship Govinda, even though I am not able to do it. So he sees, yes, I might not be able to do it to the best of my ability, to perfection. But the perfection is in realizing that. Socrates said that too. He said he went around finding people. He was like, who's is the wisest of all? Who knows the most? And so he asked the blacksmith, and the blacksmith was like, of course I know the most, because I make these tools and everybody uses it, and that's how everything works. He asked a politician, he was like, of course I know the most, because I run everything and I know the most. And then he asked, I don't remember who the person was. He asked someone finally, and he was like, I know that I do not know. And Socrates said, you're the wisest. So when did we realize that, yes, actually we do not know? That is the start of spiritual life, actually. And so when we realize that, yes, we are dependent on Krishna, that Krishna is the final, the summum bonum, that he's going to fill any kind of discrepancy, then life is complete. And there's so many pastimes to that extent, actually, in the Bhagavatam and other places. Does anyone remember any pastime? Want to share any pastimes where there might be some material deficiency, but they were so devoted to Krishna, it was transcendental, even though there might be some deficiency. Was that Haridas Thakur? Do you want to talk about it? What was the deficiency? They thought he was a cheater. Just wait for the mic. Go ahead.
Ramchandra Khan ordered his soldiers to beat Haridas Thakur in 22 marketplaces.
The king ordered for him to be beaten. Yeah, from their perspective, yeah, he was an anomaly.
He thought he was a cheater, and then he sent
cheater.
the prostitute to show that he was actually a cheater.
Are you talking about Ramachandra Khan who sent the prostitute? Okay, yeah. All right. What else? Yes, bro. Sudama Brahmana. Okay. Do you want to elaborate?
Sudama Brahman was encouraged by his wife to go ask for help from Krishna. He was really embarrassed that he would go and ask something from Krishna, but he thought, let me go, and at least I can see my friend Krishna. And so his wife said, well, you can't go without anything. You got to bring a gift, right?
Yeah.
And all they could do is gather up some chipped rice.
Yeah.
And so Sudama was so embarrassed by his material circumstances that he didn't even want to give the chipped rice to Krishna, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Krishna knew. He says, what's that behind your back? And he eats it in great ecstasy.
Yeah. Thanks, bro. Yeah, from any perspective, giving chipped rice to anyone, it's like, who wants to eat broken pieces of rice? But for Krishna, that was the best thing. Did you have one more?
I was just thinking about, like, when you have cereal, at the bottom of the cereal, there's like, you know what I mean? It's like, here's
basically, yeah.
I was thinking that before the Battle of Kurukshetra, and Krishna went to Hastinapur, Duryodhana had cooked a big feast for him to try to get him on get his support, but he just totally passed by the feast of Duryodhana, went over to Vidura's house, and Vidura didn't have anything to give him, so they just had some bananas, and then they went there, and he was he was peeling the bananas, and he was like so enamored by Krishna that he was like throwing away the banana and giving Krishna the peel, and Krishna was eating the peels because they were offered with so much devotion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any other pastimes come to mind? Matane, please.
This is Lord Ramchandra's pastime where Shabri was giving the half-eaten berries to ensure that they were sweet. So she was offering something that she had already tasted, but that imperfection Lord Ramchandra completely overlooked.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Lord Ram saw her devotion, right? She was waiting for all these years for Lord Ram, following the instructions of her spiritual master. And she had so much devotion. She would even taste the berries and then give it to Lord Ram. And Lakshman was like, what is happening? But Lord Ram was like, no, it's her devotion. So yeah, so she was doing that. And Lord Ram accepted her devotion. What else? What other some pastimes that come to mind? I was thinking of more contemporary times when in Prabhupada Lilamrita we see when Prabhupada came to New York, and in 26 Second Avenue, he was preaching over there. And in Lilamrita there's this one specific incident where there's this, I believe drunk homeless man. He just kind of came in, right? And he was saying something which was people couldn't quite understand. And then he just went into the bathroom, and he showed that he brought some toilet paper. So that was his offering. He wanted to reciprocate Prabhupada, and he brought that in, and Prabhupada was like, just let him be, and he put it in the bathroom, and he paid his respects to Prabhupada, and then he just left. And so with great acharyas, they see how can we engage someone in Krishna consciousness, irrespective of their many falls. If we look at the world that way, then the whole entire world, or an entire person can be an ocean of faults. But the acharyas look for that one redeeming quality, that one spark, and they see how can I engage this person in Krishna consciousness. Did you have any thought, Prabhupada? Were you raising your hand?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, just related to Srila Prabhupada's pastimes and offering something that's like kind of not up to standard. I was thinking of how when they installed the Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra deities in San Francisco, the way they did the installation, they didn't have anything. And then they just got a plate, just like a random plate, and they just got this candle. They stuck it on the plate, and then they chanted Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada offered the candle on the plate, circles to the deities, and then he passed it to everyone present went up there and offered the same candle and the same plate, a few circles, and then that was the installation.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I've not heard that. Wow. So far out. But so in when we go out and preach and when we get new people, one might feel like, these people, they don't know anything, what's going on? Or, but actually, in the Bhagavatam, in the third canto, when the Kumaras, the 4 Kumaras, they went to go see Lord Vishnu, right? And the 2 gatekeepers, Jayavajaya, they stopped them. At that point, they cursed Jayavajaya too. Basically, they said that you see duality, and how could somebody who sees duality be in this world, in the Vaikuntha? The Vaikuntha is without misery, without duality. So since you see duality, you will go to the world of duality and, go further away from Lord Vishnu. So then they were shocked, and they were like, they apologized, and they said, but just please don't, let us forget our Lord Vishnu. And so at that point, then Lord Vishnu came with Lakshmi, and he starts speaking, he apologizes for his gatekeepers, and he starts speaking. And then he says that even a Chandala, one who's a dog eater, even if there's a dog eater, starts chants the holy name of the Lord, then, he's taken care of. There's no discrepancy with that person anymore. And then he says that even if my own arm would do something that's harmful to the devotee, or not harmful, but would go against my devotee, I would chop off my own arm. So he makes this strong point. And so when we see other Vaishnavas, when we see someone coming to Krishna consciousness, we should see that here's someone who might be coming. I mean, we all have come from different backgrounds. We all were at some point not Krishna conscious. And so when we look at them, we think like, yeah, here's the spirit soul. He's turning around. He's making that final turn towards Krishna, back to Godhead. And here's this person. And how can we help them? How can we facilitate that? And how can we see that at least that one good quality that he or she or they are turning to Krishna? And so, yeah, there'll always be faults, in this material world. There'll always be something, some discrepancy. So, yeah, there'll always be something that somebody does wrong. Even with the Goswamis, who was it? Was it Rupa Goswami? Sanatan Goswami, the Rupa Goswami, he was meditating and he was in thinking of this whole pastime of Radha and Krishna, and the pastime, I don't remember exactly what his vision was, but in his vision he was in samadhi, and something he saw and he found amusing, and then he laughed a bit or smiled. Right at that time there was this Vaishnava who was going by, and he was a hunchback. And so this hunchback Vaishnava thought, oh, the Goswamiji is laughing at me. He didn't say anything, but he laughed. And then as soon as he thought that, then, I can't remember who it was, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, we can find out later. But the Goswami's vision was broken. And then, Rupa Goswami? Yeah, you think? All right. And so his vision was broken, and then he realized what happened, and then he asked, then he asked Sanatana Goswami, like, I was having this vision and it was broken, I don't know what happened. So Sanatana Goswami very cleverly said, you invite all the Vaishnavas of Vrindavan for prasadam. You invite them, serve the Vaishnavas, and then we'll see if maybe somebody got offended. So all the Vaishnavas came, from all the Brajvasi Vaishnavas came, and then he said that, there's this one Vaishnava who didn't come, so you should go see him. So then he went to him, and he apologized, he clarified, what happened, and so forth. So sometimes, yeah, even mistakes happen, even with our Goswamis, mistakes in a sense that, mistake. So, yeah, there'll always be something. But the question is, how do we respond? How do we respond when somebody is really, really disturbing us? How do we respond when we seemingly see fault in somebody? How do we respond in any situation? And we have to see, will our response take us closer back to Godhead, or will it take us one step further away from going back to Godhead? That is the question. We have been in the material world for so long. We have turned our faces away from Krishna for so long. Now we're fortunate enough to be in Krishna consciousness. And so when a choice comes to react in a certain way, then it is wise to just take a pause. And if we can't take a pause, go run. Run away from before we do something that harms our spiritual life. Just run. Brahmateta Prabhu, one of my mentors, he says that when you have a conflict with somebody, you put yourself in their shoes, and then you run away, in a mile. And that way you're a mile away from them, and they don't have their shoes, so they can't come chase you. But they put themselves in their shoes. But yeah, before we we react to a situation, we really want to consider, maybe we want to take advice from our Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, and our mentors, and see like what kind of a reaction will bring us a step closer back to Godhead, and what kind of a reaction will take us away from going back to Godhead. It's very crucial. And so, yeah, there might be all these discrepancies. There's this famous letter by Prabhupada, as he believes, right, to Atra Rishi. Atra Rishi was preaching in Iran, I believe, at one point, and at some point he was a smart person. He's a smart person, and well educated, I believe. And other devotees, perhaps coming from hippie background, were not of the same caliber. And he complained to Prabhupada, like, oh, Prabhupada, they're doing all this, and they're so impersonal, and this and that, So Prabhupada writes back to him, and he says that, you have made some keen observations, but we are not, Krishna consciousness is not about having a utopia. It'll never be a utopia. He says that, Prabhupada in the letter, he says that when Krishna sees Radharani passing by, he starts milking a bull. And then, so he's like, well, that's a mistake, that's just, bulls don't give milk. And so Prabhupada's making the point, but it's in transcendental emotion. It's in connection with Krishna. So sure, there might be all kinds of discrepancies. Krishna consciousness doesn't mean that the entire society, entire world is going to be perfect materially. But, but it is perfect when we do see everything in relation with Krishna. That's what makes things perfect, actually. When we see that, yes, such and such thing has happened, or such and such person is here, and then we see that this is for me to grow in Krishna consciousness, and how can I use this to take one step closer to going back to Godhead, then that is perfection. There's no other perfection in this world. This material world is full of dualities. Material world is, it's a puzzle that really can't be resolved, materially. But spiritually it can be. Spiritually we can see how the function of the material world is for us to rebuild our lost relationship with Krishna. And when we do that, then everything is perfect. Yeah. But yeah, there will be so many imperfections. What time till we go till 8:30? Yeah? 8:30? Yes? Okay. All right. And this verse also, it reminded me of the verse from the first canto, a famous verse where Prabhupada says, bringing that even though imperfectly composed, tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abhadyavadyapi namanyananta seshonkitaniya shinvanti gayanti grananti sadhava. That this text, even though irregularly composed, it glorifies the names, forms, pastimes of the Lord. And so it can bring about a revolution in this misdirected civilization. And it's such a beautiful purpose. And Prabhupada's sitting in Vrindavan, and he's saying that, yes, our presentation of the Bhagavatam might have imperfections. Prabhupada says our English is not as our second language. And so Prabhupada's very humbly saying that, yeah, there might be imperfections. But when there's fire in the house and somebody yells fire, even if it's in a different language, people can understand and relate. And so, yeah, there might be discrepancies. There might be discrepancies in our presentation when we go out and preach. Yeah, we might, there's different techniques devotees use for doing outreach, right? Some are super innovative, some are just go out and tell people about Krishna. And it doesn't matter what you do. The point is you just go out and do something. Go out and share Krishna with others in any circumstance, in any setting. And if you do that sincerely, and you do it with cooperation with devotees, that's what Krishna likes, actually. That's what really pushes the Hare Krishna movement in the world, when Krishna sees that devotees are cooperating nicely and they're able to be on the same page and share Krishna consciousness with others. That's when Krishna says, all right, they are ready to accept more new people. More people can come, they can join, and they can get rid of that kunta, that anxiety, and they can get rid of the duality that the Kumars were saying. Yeah, there is no duality in the spiritual world. So there's no friends or enemies. That was the Kumara's point. There's, you're seeing friends and enemies. There are no friends and enemies in the spiritual realm. So when Krishna sees that, yes, here people can come and experience that non-duality, there's no duality, and experience that, yeah, there's no question of friends or enemies. We are all part and parcels of Krishna, and we just serve Krishna. When he sees that setting is there, then he sends new people. He sends people to take advantage of that. And in their hearts, the super soul in their hearts guide them. There's so many stories of people, they're like, yeah, I just kind of happened to find a devotee or a temple or a book, There's so many stories like that. How does that happen? Krishna inspires them in their heart. And so when we work in a cooperative manner, when we work in that manner, then there is no discrepancy. And then we can share Krishna consciousness with everybody. All right, I'm going to stop here. Any thoughts, comments, questions? Any reflections? Yes, bro? From Shankaracharya, you said?
There a quote from Shankaracharya. He said, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govinda.
Yeah.
And then there was a quote today in one of the purports from him also that made it sound like he's a devotee. Does he preach the Mayavadi philosophy like sometimes, and then sometimes he's Bhaja Govindam? What role does he actually play?
Yeah, Shankaracharya is Lord Shiva himself, and his service in this particular time was to spread this Mayavadi philosophy, because after Lord Buddha, people had stopped following Vedic culture and Vedic systems. And so to bring people back to the Vedic, to make people understand that no, you should still revere Vedic scriptures, he had to go do that, right? He had to go and preach from that, but he had to preach a philosophy that was still somewhat in line with Buddhism, with monism and so forth. And so he preached the Mayavad philosophy, which it's kind of still in along those lines, that everything is zero, everything is void, and so forth, you know. And so he preached that philosophy, right? That was his service. But in doing that, he accomplished in bringing people back into the fold of following the Vedic scriptures. And then that, he set the foundation for the next Vaishnava acharyas, for Ramanacharya, Madhvacharya, and then, of course, Lord Chaitanya. And so, yeah, that was his service. But he was, in the end of his life, he was singing that bhajan, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Mudamati. Mudamati, you foolish-minded person, just worship Govinda. Forget all this philosophy of mine that I've just spread. He was frustrated. Can you imagine being a devotee and just having to spread philosophy which you know is not really true? He had to do most of his life. But in the end, he was like, oh my God, forget it. Just worship Govinda. So yeah, that was the bhajan he was saying that he composed, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Mudamati. But yeah, that was his pastime, that was his role in service. Prabhupada, yeah, thoughts?
It's like sometimes we go to like a public program where there's
Yeah.
like a lot of Westerner impersonalists, and we're like talking about the divine and things like that. Preaching. I had a question.
And then you just want to jump off the bridge.
You want to what?
Just
Jump off the bridge, right? It's like, can we just say Krishna? Anyways, I had this question because I thought it was interesting the way this section started, because what's his name? Bali Maharaj just got sent to Sutala.
Yeah.
So now Vamanadeva is standing there with Shukracharya, and then he starts off by asking him, so Shukracharya, what did he do wrong? It's kind of like, you know, when a kid gets in trouble and have to go sit and think about what they did wrong, so that they'll learn the lesson. It's like, all right, please describe the fault or discrepancy in your disciple. And then Shukracharya's answer is it's almost like, I don't know, because he's the spiritual master of the demons, so he was the one that was telling him, don't surrender to Vamanadeva, and now he's saying, oh my Lord, you are the enjoyer. It's almost like he's, I don't know, it doesn't seem entirely sincere unless he had some major realizations. He was sincere? He's like, there are no discrepancies, everything becomes perfect when your holy name is chanted.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Maybe Shukracharya had some realizations. He might have learned. I'm thinking, like, you know, he stood there and watched as Bali Maharaj was like, put the last foot on my head. That must have been quite moving, you know, to see. I mean, I would think, like, if I had a disciple or a mentee that was just like so surrendered, and I just stood there and watched him fully surrender everything to the Lord, I would have been like, wow, that's real. Like, that's what it should be.
So Shukadev Goswami continued in this way. The most powerful Shukracharya accepted the order of Supreme Personality Godhead with full respect. So I was assuming that the full respect means he kind of accepted it.
Yeah. And also Shukracharya in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, of gurus, I think, or something. He says of something, I'm Shukracharya. So he says that. So yeah, Shukracharya is a very learned Brahmana, but his service, his service is to be the guru of the demons, and so he was showing them how to conquer everything, right, as their mentor, guru, and so forth. But you know, he's still a great personality, and I feel like, and Indra's same way. It's, you know, these great personalities, and sometimes they get too absorbed in what's going on currently. But then something like this happened, they're like, oh yeah, yeah, Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Lord. And it's kind of a wake-up call. And, you know, it's a wake-up call for us that we get absorbed in so many things, and then we just forget, like, oh, actually, you know, I'm grateful to have devotee association. I'm grateful to be in Prabhupada's mission. I'm grateful that, you know, that we are here, we can chant Krishna's names and so forth. So it could be akin to that. That yeah, even the Shukracharya is such a great personality. They get absorbed in things, figuring out, oh, how can my disciple be the best, the king of the entire 3 realms and so forth. But yeah, that's one thought. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, that's great. I like how you kind of extended it there, because it's true. Like sometimes we have something we want to get done in a certain way, and it has to be like this, and then somebody comes along and has another idea, and then we start seeing that things aren't going to go our way, and then we see that person as our enemy, and then feelings start coming up and things, and why is this person being so problematic? Why are they disturbing? Yeah, but then what's going to happen is what the Lord wants to happen anyway, and at the end of the day, you're just like, you know what, Jai Krishna. It's like, it's all good, and that person was never my enemy. It was just an instrument in the Lord's hands to fulfill things in a way that He wanted, which was not necessarily the way I wanted. And then it leads us to a greater degree of acceptance and surrender.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for a nice class. And I was really appreciating the point you were making about doing it for Krishna. Sometimes we have difficulties amongst ourselves, but when we think the perspective, right, okay, Arjuna had to kill for Krishna. So then, whatever we have to tolerate is so much smaller than what Arjuna had to do. And extending this question, because I was looking because of that also, we read that, Shukracharya was like, okay, this is Vishnu, he'll take everything away. And then here, after Vamanadev told him, he was, accepted with full respect. And then along with the best of Brahmanas, he began to compensate for the discrepancies. So my question was that, do we know if moving forward he stuck to being, or did he again go back to going against Vishnu?
Oh, Shukracharya? Moving forward. That's a good question. What other pastimes have happened? I mean, even in here in Akshay and Nakashipu pastime, right? He was there around as their guru, and his sons were teaching the kids of the demons. So I mean, that is, even Prahlad Maharaj is king. I guess that was before, right? Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj was there already, so that was before. Yeah, afterwards, I'm trying to think what else happened. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure. One can maybe safely assume, yes, he was went on being more akin to worshiping Krishna and just not having the demons go and fight so much, but against the demigods. But I don't know if I have an answer to it. But yeah, you have a thought, bro? Especially with the chronology in the Bhagavatam, it's like it's not quite chronological. So yeah.
I was thinking that sometimes, situations happen and they bring us to that state of higher realization and acceptance and surrender to the Lord. But then, we kind of like, time passes and we forget those realizations. It's kind of like smashana vairagya. You had a funeral and it's like, we're all eternal souls. This body's temporary. I should be more serious about my spiritual life. But then, a month later and you're just back into your normal ways.
Yeah.
So
I think Indra, his is more consistent, where he keeps doing different things, Lord Indra, and then it has realizations. So with him, I like how Bhagavatam talks so much about Indra, because it's so relatable. Because we also keep doing all kinds of odd things, and then we have realizations, and then we do something else odd again, and then like, oh, actually. So yeah, Indra is more. There's more chronology to him. He does all these different things with Pritamarj, of course, Krishna's pastime, and so forth. But yeah, I think it's all just goes to show with us also, that we need to, when we have realizations, then we can hopefully live by them and keep in mind, association is key, devotee association. Yeah. So yeah, maybe Shukracharya had better association after that. All right. And now, unless there's any other points, Kancha Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.
Mother Prabhupada Priya is recommending you should come to Dallas.
Wait, what? Sugar should come to that, Alice. He should join ISKCON. Yeah, we gotta send a book distributor to. Is he still there in Sutala with Bali Maharaj?